All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sefer Ingol, and if you don't know, this little podcast is a way to try to show some of my book recommendations and some of my favorite things I've read over the past few years, and a way to also kind of showcase my writing. So, this week I wanted to show you guys a book I read last year. It's called Really Good, actually. It is by Monica Heisey. And I read it last year. I actually recommended it to one of my coworkers, and she also read it. It's about like a divorcee and how she's kind of navigating life. But before we get too into it, I've got a few excerpts from the book I'm going to read. I wanted to just update you guys on everything. So, not sure quite when this podcast will be out at all, but I'm excited for when I finally get it out and done. As of right now, today's like 17th of October. I really wanted to have this podcast out already, but I've started school. I've restarted school again, and I just haven't had a lot of time to reteach myself the editing software. So I'm kind of in the middle of doing that before I could put out any of these episodes. But it's a really fun activity for me just to sit here and read to you guys, even if you don't exist yet. um, and so last Saturday, I actually went to the book festival here in Kansas City. The Heartland Book Festival is the name, and I had a lot of fun there. We had a lot of workshops. I recorded one of the panels, so I think I'm going to share that as well at some point on this podcast too, because I think it's a perfect way. We talked about poetry, contrapuntals specifically, and we also explored zines, which is like, it's taken from the word magazine, but it's kind of like it, and I had actually seen a zine before. I had seen a zine before at a Minnesota bookstore, and I had no idea that they were called zines, and I was just so amazed by them because it's like a combination of people who are writers and people who are artists, and they just put it together in this little booklet that is just easily accessible to everyone. And I actually made my first zine that I will probably not be sharing with the world at all, but it's nice to have a kind of creative outlet hand in hand with sharing something you love. So that was a lot of fun too. I just finished the book September House for Halloween. A little bit spookier but than the books I usually read, but it was really good. Definitely recommend it. And it's definitely not too scary. I just get scared very easily. But it was pretty good. It was recommended to me by another coworker. And I really wanted a Halloween book to read for Halloween. And so I finished that one in like 3 days. I just had to finish it, honestly, because it was scaring me a little. So, yeah. And right now, I finished that one, and I'm in the middle of rereading Percy Jackson, The House of Hades. And love Percy Jackson, of course. All right. Now I'm going to get into my little excerpts from Really Good, actually. I've got 3 of them picked out. And after I read this, I'll kind of go into how I felt, I guess, when I was reading this book, and then kind of introduce my little piece of writing, which, just before we start anything, I'll just let you know it's a short film that I really want to make into a full film. I just haven't had the time to flesh out the story yet. And I'll try to read it to the best of my ability. It's really good book. I'm pretty sure I bought it for full price, which I don't do with a lot of my books. A lot of times I go on to thrift books and buy them or borrow them from the library. And this book I found in the library. I was bored. I was looking at books, and this one stood out to me because I like the light blue on the cover of it. And so I read it, and I was like, actually, this book seems hilarious, and I want to read it one day. And then I did, like, last year, and now I'm sharing it with you guys. Alright, sorry not to yap so much, but I'll go ahead and get started. So this first part is formatted like an email, just so you know. To custservetreatsa.com from im-at gmail.com. Sent July 30th, 2018, 4:12 a.m. To whom it may concern, I am writing to complain about your phone first policy, which your driver, Eric, assures me is standard across all Treatsa deliveries. As you could probably see on my customer profile, I have been especially active on your app recently. I just recently looked and I've placed 15 orders over the last 20 days, so I'm in a particularly strong position, I think, to deliver some constructive criticism. Basically, it's really, really important that you tell people you're going to call them before you even try ringing the doorbell. I live on the ground floor of my apartment, so I can usually see and hear when someone arrives. I go outside, collect my food, and come back in without the bell or my phone ever ringing. As I say, I've done this almost every day for the past 3 weeks without incident. Tonight, after placing my order, I got in the shower. I don't know why or how he got here so fast, but Eric must have arrived within minutes of me turning on the taps. I didn't even hear anyone on the landing because of the shower, and Eric didn't ring the bell, knock, call out, or text. What he did do was call my ex-husband 4 times and leave 3 voicemails. I'm sure I don't need to explain why this was less than ideal, but unfortunately that was not the end of it. When I called my ex-husband to apologize, he told me it was not a big deal to receive 4 calls from a delivery driver at 4 a.m. because he was at this point pretty used to it. And the only thing he found disturbing was the volume of my beef consumption. Eric had not been the first driver to call before trying the doorbell. In fact, it turns out that every single delivery person who has been to my home since our breakup has called my ex's number before coming to the door. He says one of them even told him it was always burgers, which feels grossly unprofessional. Seriously, is there some kind of confidentiality clause in your employee contract? My deliveries are none of his or anyone else's businesses. I ask that you amend the phone first policy, or at least make it very clear in the app. Remove the number 647XXXXXXX from my user profile and credit my account $15 in light of emotional damages. Also, if there's any way to add a tip to Eric's bill now, I didn't do so at the time because I got so flustered and upset in the moment, and I really regret it. I know the gig economy is super precarious, and you guys refuse to let your workers unionize, which in the long run is probably a way bigger deal than the burger mishap. Plus, he's a good guy. Very kind eyes. Thank you for your time, and to be clear, my dog is on a special diet where he can only eat ground beef, so that is what all the burgers are for. Margaret. To customer service at treatsa.com from im-at gmail.com. Sent July 30th, 2018, 4:25 a.m. P.S. The vet said my dog has to eat at very specific times at night, which is why all the orders are so late. It's a bit inconvenient, but I am a very devoted dog parent. To customer at treatsa.com from im-at gmail.com. Sent July 30th, 2018, 4:37 a.m. Look, I thought about it some more, and I really shouldn't have been in touch. Please don't get Eric in trouble over this. He doesn't deserve that. I only emailed because I wanted to make sure other people weren't affected by this policy, which, for the reasons I outlined above, has the potential to hurt a lot of people, or at least really ruin their day. I just care a lot, maybe too much, about my dog's well-being and want to do right by Falls, a Pekingese Schnauzer mix I rescued from Puerto Rico through a charity. Anyway, I'm sorry to bother you. Please leave my $15 credit to tip Eric, and we'll call it a day. Thanks. M. All right. The next excerpt is from page 73. The first one, for reference, was on page 57. So we're jumping to 73. A lot of these are fantasies that the main character has. I tried to pick like little short snippets that didn't give too much of the plot away while still showing you how good of a book this is, because I really like it. Anyways, I'll go right in. A fantasy. I am at a karaoke bar and I look amazing. better than normal, but in a casual way, like I just got a haircut that affected my whole body. The bar is packed, and although I am the only person singing, everyone is on board with that and thinks it's fun. In fact, I'm taking requests. The outfit I'm wearing is casual, but looks special, like it's not sparkling, but I am. Like, wearing sequins is a vibe, and I'm dressed head to toe in that vibe exactly. I'm carrying myself with the easy confidence of a woman who both has a tax-free savings account and understands how one works. I sound great. All the songs I'm singing are about heartbreak, and the raw emotion of my recent experience informs each number. People are so moved. Some of them are weeping. Much of the audience is enthralled strangers, all of whom find me mysterious and alluring. The friends I came with are dumbstruck. No one can believe that I've been hiding this voice, that I've been so humble about it. We thought all her grief would be for nothing, one whispers to another. But look what she's done with it. She's like Nora Ephron. If Nora Ephron had the voice of Adele. On stage, the pianist, there's a band, gives me a little wink. A stranger leans over to my friends. Sorry, do you know her? They beam. We do. Everyone is smoking indoors, and it feels glamorous instead of like one of those old man bars where the lights are always on full blast and someone's chalking a pool cue for much too long. Well, impossibly, aged men read out-of-date newspapers and swear in Portuguese. What's cool about Maggie, a friend tells a stranger, is that she's divorced, but in like a really fun way. Really good, actually. I'll say it again. This is page 126, a fantasy from Really Good, Actually. I'm walking home for doing something productive and morally good, like spinning. I have recently showered, and my hair has dried exactly right. I'm not wearing makeup, but I don't need to be. My skin is dewy, like I've done 3 simultaneous sheet masks. I look French. I feel French. I'm not even listening to a podcast while I walk because I'm the person who wants to experience life. The sun is setting, and I breathe deeply, the way people do when they are internally settled and have nothing to prove. No part of my boob is popping over the top of my sports bra, which I'm wearing as a t-shirt, a decision no one has noticed because I am pulling it off with such ease. As I walk up the street, lit beautifully, someone hands me a smoothie. You should have this, miss. They don't even think to say ma'am. And why should they? I am young. I drink the smoothie, and the wheatgrass in it settles in my body, energizing it, or pulling out toxins, or whatever wheatgrass is about. I hum to myself and skip a little way down the pavement. I feel so light. When I get home, I will burn incense and read a book, and my phone will be in another room, and I won't even remember which one because I am so unbothered to be away from it. I will moisturize my body and feel neutral about my cellulite, which is okay to have. Everyone has it, even someone who is doing as well as me. As I walk up the street, I will know deep within my body that I am loved by friends, family, and even, suddenly there he is, John. Red-eyed and tired-looking, wandering aimlessly like a person who has made many bad decisions in life, one of which haunts him in particular. I see him long before he sees me, and I think, how tragic. It's hard to see him struggle when I am doing, in the words of our friends, acquaintances, and one surprisingly personal but nonetheless correct front-page newspaper article, incredibly well. I think maybe it would be kinder to avoid him, so I measure my pace to let him pass on ahead. I'm walking slowly, but it is not enough. The way he's trudging resignedly with devastation means I've almost caught up. I'm trying to imagine the kindest way to say I've met someone when, Maggie! Maggie! I turn and look at the same time John does. We both see the man immediately. Can't miss him because of the crowd that's formed. He runs toward us in his massive, experimental trousers, smiling and waving. There she is, says Harry Styles, slipping a stylish tattooed arm around my waist. John clocks it immediately. Our easy intimacy, the flush in my cheeks, I feel a flicker of compassion for the man who was once my husband. I want to ask Harry Styles to be a little less familiar, to show some respect for the awkward situation. I want to say, Harry Styles, please. But I know I can't stop him. He's too excited. It's all so new. John's face falls, but he reaches out to shake the hand of the international superstar I met by chance on an airplane, and charmed by pretending to be unfamiliar with his discography. Better not, mate, says Harry Styles. I've spent all morning fingering your wife. That one is quite silly, I know. Now I'm going to read the very last part of Really Good Actually, which is Reasons I Cried, November 12th through the 23rd. This is on page 167 of my copy. Bust full and too hot. Neck look busted. Dogs, generally. Took a taxi home from a date's house late at night, and the window was open, and the city looked empty and beautiful, but I knew it was full of people, and I felt connected to them all, and also I was incredibly drunk. Tried 5 times to remember my password for the App Store. Couldn't do it. Tried to reset it. Couldn't do that either, and eventually remembered it was my own name with an exclamation mark. Jiro saw me open a granola bar at work and witheringly asked if I was treating myself. I was. Thought about how much effort my parents put into teaching me how to read. Had sex with Simon. It was lovely and caring, and the tears surprised us both. One of my students called me tall in a charged way. Saw pictures of an ancient mosaic floor discovered 4 feet under an old Italian woman's backyard, perfectly preserved, waiting. Had sex with Simon and cried again, and then he asked about it, and I cried more. Watched a documentary about how many kinds of animals are extinct now. Someone stood me up during the wrong bit of my cycle. R. Kelly came on the radio in Clive's car, and I said the song reminded me of high school, and Amira said it reminded her of the prevalence of sexual assault in the music industry, and I felt like the rest of the car was judging me, and also John and I used to dance around the apartment to Ignition Remix all the time before we knew A, that R. Kelly was a rapist, and B, that we were no longer in love. Used one of those calculators to determine how soon you can retire if you make X amount to save Y amount each month. Found out I could reasonably begin retirement in 238 years. Steve from Sex and the City yelling, "There's good stuff here," at Miranda, who cannot accept his love. This description of tomato sauce in a magazine. The genius of Hassan's sauce lies in the fact that although it's basically a convenience food made of only inexpensive and shelf-stable ingredients, it can't be improved upon. Add fancy olive oil or fresh Genevieve basil if you're moved to. They won't make it any better. The sauce is already as good as can be. Thought about running into Jana in the street the way you might encounter an ex-lover and try to maintain a distinguished distance while telling them they looked well. Found a postcard John sent me from Florida with a big pair of tits that said fake boobs and real attitude. Read all of my Facebook Messenger chats from July 2014 when John went to Florida. Sex with Simon. Remembered everyone I love will die someday, many of them before me, and that I will either know their deaths or hurt them with mine, and no matter what I do, the end is coming for all of us at a time we cannot know, that in the meantime my body will rot around my bones, getting creased and mottled and less efficient each day, that this moment right now is the youngest and healthiest and most beautiful I'll ever be. And I don't feel that young or healthy or beautiful. I feel actually like I'm losing a war with my own posture, and is it worse if my sister dies before me or if I die before her? And what will I say at my father's funeral? A Tim Hortons commercial where some gay dads bring donuts to their daughter's hockey practice. Alright, so those were the snippets I wanted to share from Really Good Actually. I hope you pick up the book because it is so much more than those roughly like 10-15 pages I read to you. It is an extremely well-written book, and it explores like modern ideas of being divorced in this day and age, being divorced young, and just like general life things, I feel like. it was a really good read, and it also has a narrator that isn't like makes some poor choices. She makes some poor choices because of where she's at in her life, and it kind of shows how your mental health can spiral in such a way, especially when you've went through something traumatic like divorcing someone you thought you loved. And even if it's the right call, it doesn't make it easy. But a lot of the times, and this character does the whole time, she makes excuses for her bad behaviors because of what she's been through. And eventually at the end of the book, she needs to get out of her funk, basically. But it's a really good story. I hope that didn't give away too much, and I hope you pick it up one day. Now I'm going to read my little excerpt. Like I said before, I might switch it out with some of my friends instead. But for now, I'll just read it off to you guys. Alright, some context before I start reading my short film excerpt. It follows the main character, Eloise, as she goes about her life. She's about the same age as the person in Really Good, actually. It is in no way based on that book, though. I just thought they had similar vibes. It's basically about this girl who she's in love with her best friend. And this scene kind of explores it, but her best friend, her guy best friend, he's about to get married. And so she comes home after finding out that he's literally about to propose to his girlfriend and is pretty upset about it. A lot of other things ensue, but I don't want to give away too much just in case, I don't know, just in case I finish it one day and just in case it gets made. So I'm just going to read this small excerpt, and basically Eloise comes home after finding out that Henry, is the guy's name, is going to propose, and she comes home to her roommate, Lucy, who is also one of her childhood best friends. Alright, interior. Eloise and Lucy's apartment. Eloise looks distraught as she opens the door. She stands for a second, soaking in the sorrow. Lucy is playing a Super Smash Bros. Variant. Lucy. Oh, you're home! Come on, I just started. I can let you in and we can smash things and people. Eloise. I'm okay. I gotta finish this assignment anyway. She grabs her computer from the living room table and starts typing, almost attacking it in the process. Lucy. Not to beat a dead horse or anything, but an amazing way to take out anger is video games. Please, Elle, you never play with me anymore. Eloise. Fine, okay. What? I'll play. Lucy. Just direct your anger towards the game, please. They begin to play and are overly focused. Eloise ends up dying once. Eloise. What? That shouldn't even count. He wasn't even close to me. Lucy. You still have 2 more lives. It's okay. Eloise. Okay. Lucy. You just fell off the map. Eloise. Yes, I see that, Lucy. Thank you so much for the observation. Lucy. It's okay. We haven't lost yet. They continue playing, Eloise aggressively jamming the controller until... Eloise. What the fuck? I had so much health and that kills me? This game is so stupid. It's trying to fuck us over. Lucy. I mean, sometimes it could be unfair. Eloise. Unfair? It's just unconstitutional at this point. Lucy. I mean, a little American I would take, but... Eloise. I mean, what? We spent how long playing this game just for us to lose at it now? How much time have we wasted on this stupid piece of shit game just for it to say, oh no, we don't love you back like that. Oh, actually, Mario isn't marrying Peach like everyone thought, but Daisy. Like, what kind of a stupid fucking fuck of a fucktard is this? Lucy. Oh no, Elle. They hug and Eloise starts crying. Eloise. What? I'm normal. Lucy. It's okay. Something happened with Henry. I get it. Eloise. It was so stupid, Lucy. So stupid. I was so stupid, and so was he, and stupid, stupid, perfect, literally goddess Amelia. Lucy. What about Amelia? Eloise. Nothing. She's perfect. Lucy. You didn't tell him how you feel. Eloise. Oh yeah, he brings out a wedding ring for another girl, and let me just tell him about my undying love for him. Would be great. Lucy. So you're just gonna keep it in? Eloise. Yeah. She stands up, still visibly upset, and goes to get ice cream. Eloise. This is me, letting it all out. By the time I see him again, I will have worked through all the emotions in time for the wedding. Huh. Lucy. You're on a rocky road, so you turn to rocky road. I get it. Sorry, I know you don't want to talk about it, but did he mention when he was going to propose? Eloise. I don't know. Lucy. So there's still time to tell him how you feel. Eloise. What? No. Lucy. Exposure therapy. Expose yourself to hearing the worst, and maybe you'll end up getting the best. Eloise. No, it's over. I can feel it. I just need to stop the overflowing, disgusting chum bucket of feelings for him. Lucy. But you're miserable. Eloise. I'll be okay. I'll be fine. Really. Lucy. I don't want you to be fine, gal. I want you to be happy. They hug. Eloise. Yeah. Me too. Eloise goes to her room and starts blasting a show. Lucy. I still think it would be beneficial for your friendship to tell him how you feel. Eloise turns the show up more. Lucy. I could buy you some time. Say no if you want me to stop. No answer through the door. Okay then, I'll do it if you insist. She exits. End of scene. Alright, so that was the small little snippet. If it ever gets made, or if you ever want to read the full short film, I guess I'll have to share it. That's my most recent work of writing that I've done, and actually rereading through parts of it, it's not awful to me, which is unusual for a lot of my work. I wrote it when I was in my rom-com class earlier this year. I wrote a few snippets of it, wanted to write the whole thing, finished it, and I only wrote about 30 pages or so. So unfortunately not enough for a feature film like I wanted, but I wanted to finish it and make it into a feature film one day, is the hope. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the book, and I hope you enjoyed my writing, and thank you so much. And hopefully one day this episode will see the light of day. And until then, thank you if you listened.